In episode number 1, Rob and David had the chance to drive these hot hatches and give us their insight on these jack-of-all-trades. In episode number 2, we threw these turbocharged front-wheel drive cars at the quarter mile to see who would take the top spot. In this episode, I finally get my chance to drive. I test out their driving dynamics on our autocross course and then get to see what kind of lap times these two can get when fully unleashed at our home base, Toronto Motorsports Park. All right, now's the big chance. This is for the Veloster N to show its muscle against the Type R. On the road course, I'm pretty sure the Type R's horsepower is going to win. We'll find out soon. But I think here in the autocross, I really think that this car has a chance. It does seem to make a little more grunt down low than the Type R, and the new suspension settings and everything else they did in this car, it definitely feels like it rotates and turns in a little better than the previous ones I have driven. So let's see if that actually translates into a faster time on the course here. Go N power. Puts down the power quite well in first gear. Ooh, this thing rotates. Wow, this thing's awesome. Rotates well under braking as well. Lots of torque down low. I like that for autocross. Good, turns in well. Good torque coming out. Not bad at all. See how it rotates in the high-speed part. Oh, it looks good. Went in there a bit too hot. Wow, not bad. This thing has great turn-in, rotates very well. Very easy to push and drive fast, I have to say, but very rewarding. This thing's fun. But then again, that is always the thing with hot hatches. They're fast, and they're easy, and they're fun. Now that I saw what the car could do, I tried getting a little braver in the high-speed section on the next run. I carried a little more speed and used a bit of throttle off oversteer to get the nose to turn in at speed. I also tried testing this new faith in the slalom part of the course to see if I could carry more speed through there as well. And hallelujah, my faith in the little N that could was rewarded with a faster time. Alright, now that we're done with the really bad southern preacher accents, let's get back to driving. With this being the last run, I knew I only had one more chance to do the N justice. On this run, I wanted to try and carry more speed through the bus stop section of the course. For you non-autocross people, that is the tight box in the middle of the course. If I could trail brake into it just right and time the weight transfer correctly to set up my exit, I could net a few more tenths. Once again, my faith was rewarded. The ex-BMW M brand crew that was pulled over to Hyundai got the suspension settings just right, so I was able to accomplish my goal. So pulled up here at the line in the Type R. Of course, the Type R is the king of the hot hatches, so it has a lot to live up to. Now, we just did the runs in the Veloster N, and that thing was quite good. I was quite surprised actually how well it performed in the time it put down. So this Type R definitely is going to have some stiff competition today. I've definitely autocrossed Type Rs before. It's the first time autocrossing the new N, and again, the new N was better than I thought it'd be, and it was kind of what I would expect the Type R to do. So I think whichever one gets the faster time, it's going to be a really tough battle. So let's do a couple of runs on the Type R, and let's see if it can keep on to its throne. This thing's definitely got a little more punch off the line than the Veloster. Gotta definitely manage the throttle a little bit more in this car. Turn-in is still spectacular, as I would expect in this car. Ooh, definitely a little harder to put the power down though, but then again, it makes a bit more of it. Okay, I'm gonna leave it in second gear. Let's see if this thing's got the grunt to pull out of this loop. Yeah, you gotta get the revs up a little bit more than the Veloster out of that low speed corner in second gear. But once the RPMs are up, this thing definitely pulls better. run reminded me of why this car is thought of as the best hot hatch out there. It does more, but also asks more of the driver in return. On this run, I decided to use the superior turn-in and carry a bit more speed into the corners than I could in the Veloster. I found that it helped for some of the high-speed corners, but unfortunately I ended up with some understeer in the slower sections, so there wasn't much of an improvement in my time. Now I'm down to the last run in the Type R, and I'm behind the N by about 1 second at this point. Wow, this is not a close battle, and I'm making myself look like a liar. I had to find time, and fast. The Type R is a well-balanced car and needs to be driven as such. Brake earlier than you think you should, and get the car set up for the corner so you can carry the speed into the corner. Get it right, and you won't be fighting the car at the apex, so you can get back on the power early. It looks like I remembered how to drive this car after all. The score in the performance tests are now 1-1. The Veloster taking the win in the drag race portion, and the Type R pulling off a last-minute victory in the autocross. Who will take the win on the full road course? Let's hit the track and find out.
So Colin, so what did you think then with the performance testing?
Well, I have to say, it was not what I expected. That's the first thing I have to say. I'll be honest. I just thought overall the Type R was just going to walk away with all the tests. I mean, it's the Type R, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
On paper, it makes more power. It's better on paper in every which way. Yet, as we saw in the drag race earlier, that was a bit of a surprise. In the autocross, it was about what I expected there, I have to say. Or actually, maybe not, because I drove the Veloster first, and it was actually better than I thought it would be. So I was starting to wonder if maybe it'd be a pretty kind of even matchup between the two. But then the biggest difference was this in the autocross, particularly when you start pushing the Veloster N 10/10ths. You could tell the car just doesn't like the 10/10ths. It'll go about 8, 9 tenths. 10/10ths, it just starts to kind of like hold you back a bit. The Type R though was the opposite. 8/10ths, it felt just like the M, but when you start really trying to eke out more time, this car just worked with you. It was just like, let's do this. So that's where I was able to find an extra second in the autocross with the Type R. Mm-hmm. I just, really started just extra push, and the Type R had it in it, and the Veloster didn't. Yeah. Now, as for the hot laps, again, more power, right? So on the full open track, I'm sure in the straightaways, the data will show the Type R is making up some room there. It does have a little better turn in. You know, you can work with it a little more in the corners, kind of similar to what I was talking about in the autocross. So when you start really pushing it, it had that little bit more. But I think, again, honestly, a lot of that time was just the straightaways. This thing has power, right?
Rob and I were both saying that it feels as though the Veloster turns in really, really nice. Really likes to bite. But coming out of the corner, which is more important, this definitely felt a heck of a lot faster.
You know what? It's interesting. I found, like, and this is for autocross too, that this thing made a lot more grunt down low in the RPMs, it felt like. So coming out of the slow sections, this thing felt like it really had the pull. This car
torque.
didn't.
Yeah.
This thing you had to rev it up.
Yeah.
But once you revved it up, it definitely had a lot more pull than that.
Very
so.
Honda.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going to go with as well.
Yeah.
Like that being, it's very Honda. Like you got to really rev it high.
You do. Yeah.
Where this one, you have more of the rev range to play with.
Absolutely.
So if you find yourself down low, it's going to get the grunt out. If you find yourself out of gear or in the wrong band here, it's going to punish you for it.
The car's not happy.
Not happy
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
It's only happy screaming high.
The other question is then, aside from performance, which one do you guys think? Again, like, you know, keep in mind a hot hatch is meant to do a lot of things besides just the performance. You know, we talked about that in the episodes. Which one is the better overall hot hatch, and which one would you guys take? What do you guys think, Rob?
Well, yeah, that's the king, right? If you're going to go for statement and you've got that experience, you're going to go crazy.
Lots of statement here.
A lot of statements
Lots of
there. But you look at this, and this is new. This is kind of more sedate, but it is equally as functional. Good to start off with. I'd actually go with that.
Interesting. What do you think, David?
Was the Golf R an option?
Not today. Not today.
No, I love it. I mean, for me, honestly, I personally would say I would pick this. I know how the performance results ended up, but that price difference, I can't argue with that. In this realm, that's a lot of tires and a lot of time on track.
It's true.
And warranty.
In warranty. So if I put myself back in my young 20s, young professional, I've just got my first job, I'm looking to buy a new car, but it needs to be my only car, and I'm learning, I'm developing, so, you know, 20, 30 years ago. That, for sure. I would buy that, not this.
You guys are right. I think if it wasn't for the track warranty, I would go for this because, you know me, I'm just a one-trick pony. I'm all about the driving. But yeah, exactly. Like if you're in the realm of buying this car, let's face it, you're probably not rolling in dough. So you can't afford to go to the track and start snapping axles or transmissions or, you know, whatever's going on, which happens, right?
Yeah, of course.
So with this thing, you're covered, right? So you can come out and you can do that without breaking the bank. This thing, I mean, let's face it, they are still quite good at what they do and they're reliable. They aren't really known for major problems, especially with the updates they did on these ones. However, stuff happens. And if it does, you're out of pocket. That one, you're not.
Peace of mind.
Yeah, and that's worth a lot.
So I can, as a new young driver, I know that I can learn and I can push to learn. Because how else do you know your limits unless you pass them once in a while?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if I had this new, I'd be terrified that I wouldn't be able to drive home at the end of the day.
Exactly. So I got to say, I think, again, they're both winners, right?
Yeah.
They're both
Yes.
awesome cars, and they're both good for different reasons. And let's face it, all I know is I had a heck of a lot of fun driving these cars today. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm the winner.
We got to drive them too. And
Oh, yeah, you guys too.
yeah. Thanks for watching. We had a really good time.
Remember to wash, rinse, and like, subscribe, and hit that bell.
And
We'll see you at the track.